Mountains touch heavens, emerald rivers carve stone, and where every sunrise feels like the first light ever cast upon earth. This is Albania, the last wild heart of Europe. For decades, it was a mystery sealed away from the world, forgotten by maps and misunderstood by history. But now, its secrets are waking, from the snow-capped peaks of the accursed mountains to the sapphire waters of the Ionian Sea, from forgotten castles to ancient cities, glowing under golden light. Albania is a story written by nature, preserved by time, and told by its people. In this journey, we uncover not just landscapes, but soulscapes, the untamed, unfiltered essence of a country that refuses to fade. So, take a breath, open your heart, and prepare to see Albania like you've never seen it before. This is the land where beauty still dares to be wild. They call it Europe's last hidden paradise, a place of mountains that touch the heavens, beaches that glow beneath emerald waters, and villages frozen in time. Yet, for decades, the world looked away. Albania, a name once whispered with mystery, now rising as one of the most breathtaking and untouched destinations on Earth. This is not the Europe you've seen in postcards. This is a land where nature still roams free, where stories sleep under stones, and where adventure begins the moment you open your eyes. As dawn breaks over the rugged peaks of the accursed mountains, the first golden light paints the land in silence. Mist curls around the valleys, and a shepherd's distant call echoes through the still air. Albania is waking up not just from the night, but from decades of solitude. Once sealed off from the world, hidden behind an iron curtain of isolation, it has now opened its arms to reveal its raw, untouched beauty. Every corner of this country feels like stepping into another world. To the north, mighty peaks carve through the clouds wild, imposing and yet humbling. To the south, sapphire coastlines stretch endlessly, kissed by the warm breath of the Ionian Sea. Between them lie ancient towns of stone, river canyons so deep they vanish into mist, and forests where time seems to have stopped. Albania is not a land you visit, it's a place you feel. But what makes Albania truly magical isn't just its landscapes. It's the spirit of its people, proud, warm, and fiercely connected to their roots. In mountain villages, elders still gather to share tales of courage and loss under starlit skies. In the cities, young dreamers are building a new identity, one that honors the past but reaches for the future. You sense it in every conversation, in every smile. It's a land that has learned to heal, to rediscover itself. The rhythm of Albania beats differently. The streets of Tirana pulse with art and color, a vibrant contrast to the gray memories of the past. You see murals covering once forbidden walls, laughter echoing through open squares, and cafes overflowing with life. The energy feels contagious, a symbol of renewal. Yet, even here, history lingers. The scars of communism remain in bunkers, scattered across the countryside, in the silent mountains that watched generations live and vanish. Albania doesn't hide its past. It wears it proudly, like an old warrior's scar that tells a story of survival. Beyond the cities lies a landscape that defies logic. Rivers cut through limestone cliffs, creating canyons of impossible beauty. Ancient bridges still stand where no roads lead. Villages built of stone and wood cling to the hillsides, untouched by modern noise. When you stand there, surrounded by nothing but wind and time, you realize Albania isn't trying to impress you. It simply is. Wild, honest, eternal. Every step through this country feels like discovering a secret the world forgot to keep. The lakes shimmer like glass. The mountains guard stories older than history itself. In the north, travelers find peace in the valleys of Valbona and Theth, where waterfalls plunge into crystal basins. In the south, the Riviera gleams beneath the sun, its beaches as pure and quiet as they were centuries ago. Between them lie forgotten fortresses, ancient ruins, and whispers of civilizations that came and went, leaving behind only traces for those curious enough to look. Albania's greatest treasure, however, is its authenticity. It doesn't bend to mass tourism. It doesn't wear a mask for visitors. What you see here is real, unfiltered, unpolished, and alive. Locals still invite strangers for coffee without hesitation, sharing stories as if they've known you for years. The food is earthy and rich, drawn from the land: olives, honey, bread baked in stone ovens, and wine aged in mountain cellars. Every meal, every encounter, feels like a reminder of what travel used to mean: connection, discovery, and wonder. As night falls and the stars return to the Albanian sky, silence takes over once more. The wind carries the scent of pine and salt, and somewhere in the distance, a wolf calls into the dark. You feel a stillness that's almost spiritual, a connection to something greater than yourself. Here, far from crowds and cities, Albania reveals its soul, ancient, resilient, and endlessly beautiful. For decades, it was hidden. Today, it stands open, not shouting for attention, but quietly inviting you to listen, to see, to feel. Albania is no longer Europe's forgotten land. It's a revelation waiting to be discovered, one mountain, one village, one sunrise at a time. In the heart of Albania, where the mountains slowly give way to the plains, there lies a city unlike any other Tirana. Once gray and forgotten under decades of isolation, today it bursts with color, life, and energy. Tirana is not just the capital of Albania, it's the symbol of its rebirth, a living canvas where history, art, and chaos collide in the most fascinating way. If you want to feel the pulse of modern Albania, this is where you begin. The moment you step into Tirana, you feel it, a rhythm that's impossible to ignore. The streets hum with scooters and laughter, cafes spill out onto sidewalks, and the air carries the scent of espresso mixed with street food. But what truly sets Tirana apart is its spirit of transformation. Not long ago, it was a city weighed down by gray concrete and silence. Now, every building seems to scream with color-bright blues, fiery reds, sunny yellows painted as if to reclaim joy from the years of oppression. At the center stands Skanderbeg Square, the heart of Tirana and the soul of Albania. Named after the national hero who once united the country against the Ottoman Empire, the square is vast and alive, surrounded by symbols of the past and visions of the future. To the north, the National History Museum stands proud, its mosaic facade telling the story of a people who endured centuries of struggle and triumph. To the east, the Atembe Mosque, whispers of Ottoman artistry and spiritual calm, a surviving gem from the 18th century that escaped destruction through faith and luck. From the square, the city unfolds in layers. Wide boulevards lined with palms lead to old communist-era buildings, now transformed into creative hubs, galleries, and cafes. One of the most iconic landmarks is Bloku, a neighborhood that was once off-limits to ordinary citizens, reserved only for the elite of the communist regime. Today, it's the most vibrant district in the city, alive with restaurants, bars, and nightlife. The irony isn't lost on anyone. What was once a symbol of isolation has become the beating heart of freedom. Tirana's transformation isn't just visual, it's emotional. The city reflects Albania's determination to move forward without erasing its past. You'll find bunkers turned into museums, like Bunk Art, a massive underground complex built to protect the regime during the Cold War. Walking through its dimly lit tunnels feels like stepping into a time capsule, a haunting reminder of fear, paranoia, and resilience. Yet just outside, murals burst with hope and color. Children play in open parks, and the city's skyline glimmers with new architecture. Tirana doesn't hide its scars, it paints over them, turning pain into art. But beyond the chaos and color lies a surprising tranquility. Head toward Grand Park, or as locals call it, Parku-i Mad, and you'll find a green oasis surrounding an artificial lake. Families stroll beneath the trees, cyclists glide along the paths, and cafes line the water's edge. As the sun sets, the reflections shimmer golden on the surface, and the city seems to exhale a moment of calm before nightfall brings it roaring back to life. What makes Tirana so special is its authenticity. It's not trying to be another European capital. It's rough around the edges, imperfect and real. There's a rawness here, a sense that the city is still finding itself, still experimenting with what it wants to be. And that's exactly what makes it fascinating. Every mural, every street corner, every conversation tells a story of resilience of people who refuse to stay in the dark. As you wander through the city, you might come across hidden gems like the Pazari Iri or New Bazaar, where the scents of fresh fruit, olives, and grilled seafood fill the air. It's not just a market, it's a celebration of Albanian life. Vendors call out greetings in the local dialect. Tourists haggle good-naturedly, and everywhere you look, colors explode in a symphony of energy. Grab a glass of local wine, find a spot in the sun, and you'll understand what makes this city impossible to forget. When night falls, Tirana transforms again. The streets glow under warm lights, music drifts through the air, and the city becomes a living mosaic of laughter, dance, and connection. Whether you find yourself in a rooftop bar overlooking the city or in a small cafe tucked in an alley, you feel it the heartbeat of a country rediscovering joy. Tirana is not a city of perfection. It's a city of emotion. It's about movement, rebirth, and hope. It doesn't matter where you're from here. You feel like part of the story. This is a place that teaches you something simple yet powerful. Beauty isn't about perfection. It's about transformation. In Tirana, every brushstroke, every building, and every smile tells the story of a nation that refused to fade. Albania has opened its doors to the world, and Tirana stands as its invitation, vibrant, fearless, and alive. There's a moment when you round a bend on Albania's southern coast, and the world suddenly opens up before you, an endless sweep of turquoise waters, sunlit cliffs, and silver-green olive groves cascading down to the sea. This is the Albanian Riviera, a coastline so stunning it feels like a secret the world has somehow forgotten to claim. It's wild, pure, and impossibly beautiful, a Mediterranean dream untouched by time. The Riviera stretches from Vlora in the north to Saranda, near the Greek border, a journey of winding mountain roads and breathtaking views. Every curve of the coastline offers something new. A hidden cove, a sleepy fishing village, or a stretch of beach so pristine it feels almost otherworldly. But what makes the Albanian Riviera truly magical isn't just its beauty, it's the way it still feels authentic, raw, and real. This isn't a polished postcard destination. It's a living, breathing paradise where nature still writes the story. It all begins in Vlora, where the Adriatic and Ionian seas meet in a swirl of deep blues. Here, Albania's independence was declared in 1912, but today the city hums with modern energy beach bars, palm-lined promenades, and the promise of adventure further south. From Vlora, the road climbs into the Logara Pass, one of the most spectacular drives in Europe. As your car snakes through pine forests and sharp turns, the air cools, and the scent of mountain herbs fills the breeze. Then, suddenly, you reach the top, and there it is. The Ionian Sea stretches infinitely beneath you, shimmering like liquid glass. It's a view that stops you cold, no matter how many pictures you've seen before. Descending from the pass, the first glimpse of Dermi appears like a dream, whitewashed houses tumbling down the hillside toward crystal-clear water. The beach here is long and luminous, framed by cliffs and olive trees, with waves that sparkle under the Mediterranean Sunday. But just behind the beach, old Dermi village whispers of another time, cobbled lanes, stone houses, and a timeless stillness that feels a world away from the modern bustle. It's this blend of old and new that gives the Riviera its soul, a place where ancient stories and modern rhythms dance side by side. Further along the coast lies Jail Beach, a crescent of golden sand that feels like a hidden paradise. By day, the water glows turquoise, inviting you to dive in and forget the world. By night, music drifts from beachside bars, and the stars seem impossibly close. Here, time slows down. You don't measure your days in hours, but in sunsets. Then there's Himara, a small town that embodies everything the Albanian Riviera stands for: simplicity, warmth, and unspoiled charm. Life here moves to the rhythm of the sea. Fishermen mend their nets by the shore. Children play under fig trees, and every meal seems to arrive with a view of the horizon. The old castle of Himara still stands watch above the town, its stones soaked in history and sea breeze. From its walls, you can see the coastline stretch endlessly, dotted with hidden coves waiting to be discovered. But perhaps the most famous jewel of the Riviera is Kasamil, often called the Maldives of Europe. Here, the sea shifts from sapphire to emerald to glass, clear shallows where tiny islands float just offshore. You can swim or kayak to them, or simply wade through the shallow water, feeling the fine sand beneath your feet. Kasamil is beauty distilled, pure, vibrant, and unforgettable. Yet even here, amid postcard perfection, there's something humble about the place. The people are kind, the food is fresh and simple, and life flows at its own pace. And beyond Kasamil, near the southernmost edge, lies Saranda, the Riviera's lively heart. By day, it's a sun-drenched seaside town. By night, its waterfront glows with lights and laughter. From here, you can see the island of Corfu across the water, so close you could almost swim to it. But for those who wander inland, hidden treasures await, like the Blue Eye Spring, a natural wonder where icy water bursts from the earth in a swirl of turquoise and cobalt. Gazing into its depths, you feel as if you're staring into the very soul of Albania's wild beauty. The Riviera is more than a place. It's a feeling. It's the salty air on your skin, the echo of laughter carried by the wind, the sound of waves crashing against cliffs that have seen centuries pass. It's watching the sunset from a mountaintop and realizing there's nowhere else you'd rather be. Here, luxury isn't measured in hotels or crowds. It's in the silence between the waves, the untouched sands, the authenticity of people who still live by the sea's rhythm. The Albanian Riviera is one of Europe's last true coastal frontiers, unspoiled, unexplored, unforgettable. And as the stars rise over the Ionian, you realize something profound. This coast doesn't just capture your eyes, it captures your soul. The Albanian Riviera isn't just a destination, it's an emotion, a whisper from nature herself saying, "This is what paradise was meant to feel like." They call it the city of 1,000 windows. But when you stand on the banks of the Osum River and look up at the white houses of Berat, stacked upon one another like a staircase to heaven, you realize it's not just the windows that make this place special. It's what lies behind them. Stories, generations, lives that have flowed, like the river below, through centuries of time. Berat is one of the oldest and most enchanting cities in Albania, a place where every stone breathes history. As the morning sun breaks over the mountains, it bathes the white Ottoman facades in gold. Wooden balconies lean gently over cobbled streets, red-tiled roofs glimmer under the light, and the scent of fresh bread drifts through the narrow alleys. You don't just visit Berat, you step into another era. This city has been here for more than 2,400 years, a living museum of cultures that have come and gone: Illyrians, Romans, Byzantines, and Ottomans. Each left a mark, but somehow Berat absorbed them all, blending their legacies into something uniquely its own. The castle of Berat, or Kalaja, still crowns the hill, watching over the city like a guardian from another world. Its ancient walls are alive with echoes of soldiers who stood watch, of merchants who traded silk and spices, of families who once lit candles in the cool mountain wind. Climbing up to the fortress, the path winds through time itself. The stones beneath your feet are worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. Inside the castle walls, a small village still lives. People hang their laundry between stone houses. Children chase one another through narrow lanes, and the distant sound of a church bell mingles with the call to prayer from a nearby mosque. It's a harmony that feels ancient yet deeply human, a symbol of coexistence that defines Berat's soul. From the castle's edge, the view is breathtaking. The Osum River glides through the valley below, splitting the city into two historic quarters, Mangalam and Gorica. Mangalam, with its tightly packed white houses, climbs up the southern hill in a graceful pattern, every window perfectly aligned, gazing across the river, as if in eternal conversation with Gorica, its mirror image on the opposite bank. When night falls and the city lights begin to glow, the reflection in the water creates a shimmering vision, 1,000 windows shining like stars on earth. Berat's magic, however, lies not just in its architecture, but in its atmosphere. There's a stillness here, a calm that wraps around you like a warm breeze. Locals greet you with genuine smiles, eager to share their traditions, their stories, their coffee. In small family-run guest houses, you're not just a visitor, you're a guest of honor. They pour you raki, the strong local spirit, and serve plates of homemade olives, goat cheese, and honey gathered from the nearby mountains. Every flavor tells you something about this land, rich, grounded, and real. As you wander deeper into the old quarters, you'll find a Nufri's museum, housed in a centuries-old cathedral. Here, vivid icons, painted by Albania's greatest medieval artist, glow with color and life reds and golds that seem to burn even in the dim light. Onufri's work tells the story of faith, resilience, and the beauty that thrives even in hardship. His art isn't just sacred, it's a reflection of the Albanian soul itself. Across the river, in Gorica, life moves slower. The cobbled streets are quieter, shaded by fig trees and vines. From here, you can look back at Mangalam and understand why poets and painters have fallen in love with this view for centuries. Berat is a city that reflects itself not only in the river but in the hearts of those who see it. It's as if the city whispers, "Look deeper. There's beauty in every layer." And then, there's the Osum Canyon. Just a short drive away, a natural wonder that feels like the wild counterpart to Berat's calm grace. Carved by millennia of flowing water, the canyon stretches for miles, with towering cliffs and emerald pools. When sunlight filters through, it paints the walls in shades of gold and green. Adventurers can raft down its rapids, or simply stand at the edge, listening to the echo of rushing water. Here, nature and time have sculpted a masterpiece, just as history and culture have shaped Berat. By evening, the city glows in amber hues. The river mirrors the last light of day, and the air fills with the faint sound of music, a blend of traditional Albanian melodies and laughter from small cafes. It feels timeless, as if the world outside has paused, allowing you to breathe in a slower rhythm. Berat isn't loud or showy. It doesn't demand attention. It simply exists, quietly, beautifully, eternally. It's a reminder that some of the most extraordinary places on earth are not the ones that shout, but the ones that whisper softly, inviting you to listen. As night deepens and the stars appear over the city's 1,000 glowing windows, you realize that Berat isn't just a destination, it's a feeling, a bridge between past and present, faith and art, shadow and light. In this city of reflection, both literal and spiritual, you don't just see beauty, you become a part of it. There's a place in southern Albania where time feels carved in stone. A city where slate rooftops shimmer under the sun and cobblestone streets echo with the footsteps of centuries. This is Gjirokastër, the stone city of legends. Perched high above the Drino Valley, it stands like a fortress of memory, silent, proud, and unshakably beautiful. When you first see it, it feels like stepping into a story that never ended, one where history breathes through every wall, and the past still walks beside you. At sunrise, the first light spills over the gray rooftops, igniting the city in silver and gold. The mist drifts from the valley below, curling around the stone towers like smoke from another age. The sound of a rooster, the distant hum of life stirring, and then silence again. Gjirokastër isn't a city that rushes. It watches, it remembers. This is a place born from stone, not just built from it. The houses here rise from the mountainside like living monuments, each one a masterpiece of Ottoman architecture. The walls are thick, the windows small, and the roofs made of slate tiles that gleam when wet. From above, they form a sea of gray that seems to merge with the mountains themselves. It's a sight so poetic that even Ismail Kadare, Albania's most celebrated writer and a son of Gjirokastër, once wrote, "It was as though the city had grown out of the rock itself." As you wander through the steep lanes, every corner tells a story. The old bazaar, once the beating heart of trade and gossip, still hums with the rhythm of everyday life. The scent of Turkish coffee fills the air, mingling with the sweetness of petula, the local fried pastries dusted with honey. Artisans display handmade rugs, copper ornaments, and carved woodcrafts that have survived generations of change. Time moves slowly here, not because it must, but because it chooses to. Above the city looms the mighty Gjirokastër Castle, a stone giant that has watched over this valley for more than 8 centuries. Its walls are thick with history, tales of battles, revolts, and resilience. As you walk through its gates, the air cools, and the echoes of footsteps seem to follow. Inside, cannons rest in silence, old prisons whisper their secrets, and the Albanian flag flutters proudly in the wind. From the top of the fortress, the view stretches endlessly across the valley fields glowing under the sun, villages scattered like white pearls, and mountains guarding the horizon. Within these walls, time feels heavier. The castle has seen empires rise and fall, revolutions flare and fade. It has served as a stronghold, a prison, even a stage for Albania's national folk festival, where songs and dances from every corner of the country come together in a celebration of identity. The stone that once witnessed war now carries music. That's Gjirokastër's gift to transform hardship into heritage. But beyond its grandeur, what makes Gjirokastër unforgettable is its spirit. It's in the stories of its people, proud, poetic, and resilient. Many families still live in centuries-old mansions passed down through generations. Step into one, and you'll find yourself surrounded by carved wooden ceilings, painted walls, and ornate furnishings that tell of a time when elegance met endurance. The Zakate House, one of the city's most beautiful, stands as a perfect example. Built in the early 1800s, it's a fortress and a home, all at once. Stone walls outside, delicate artistry within. When sunlight streams through its lattice windows, the room glows with history. And yet, Gjirokastër isn't just a museum of the past. It's alive, a city rediscovering itself. Young artists, writers, and travelers are drawn here by its mystery and charm. Small cafes buzz with conversation, while the scent of mountain herbs drifts through the air. Evenings bring music, the deep, soulful tones of iso-polyphony, Albania's traditional polyphonic singing. It's haunting and hypnotic, a sound that feels ancient and eternal. When voices rise together in harmony, echoing off stone walls, it feels like the very soul of this land is singing. From the city's high terraces, the sunset paints the Drino Valley in amber light. The shadows grow long, and the rooftops shimmer like silver waves. Somewhere, a bell rings, marking the end of another day that feels both modern and medieval. Gjirokastër is full of contrasts, gentle yet strong, old yet endlessly alive. As night falls, the streets grow quiet. The sound of wind rustling through cypress trees replaces the hum of the bazaar. The air cools, carrying with it the faint aroma of burning wood and distant rain. You stand on the cobblestones, surrounded by walls older than most nations, and realize this city doesn't just preserve history, it is history. Gjirokastër teaches a lesson few places can, that true beauty lies not in perfection, but in endurance. The cracks in the walls, the faded stones, the stories that refuse to fade, these are not flaws, but proof of life. Every stone here has been touched by time, and yet, somehow, the city remains unbroken. In the quiet glow of its lamplight, Gjirokastër feels like a poem written in stone, one that has no end, only pauses between verses. It is Albania's living soul, carved from rock, shaped by centuries, and destined to stand forever not as a relic, but as a reminder that history, when loved, never truly dies. There's a silence in northern Albania that feels different from anywhere else on earth. A silence so vast and ancient that it almost hums. When you step into the Albanian Alps, known locally as Berat and Gjirokastër, the accursed mountains, you're stepping into a realm where myths breathe through the mist, and nature reigns with untamed majesty. The first time you see them, the name makes sense not because they're cursed, but because they feel too powerful, too wild, too sacred for ordinary words. As the dawn light touches the jagged peaks, the mountains ignite in shades of silver and gold. Clouds drift lazily through the valleys, and far below, the emerald rivers cut through stone like veins of light. The air is pure, sharp, and alive. Every breath feels like a rediscovery of what it means to be human. This is a place where roads end, but the journey truly begins. The path to this wilderness often starts in Theth, a small village cradled in the heart of the mountains. To reach it, you wind through narrow passes, past waterfalls, forests, and ancient bridges, each turn revealing something even more breathtaking. Then suddenly, there it is. A green valley surrounded by towering walls of rock, with stone houses that seem to have grown from the earth itself. It feels like a forgotten world, preserved by nature's embrace. The people of Theth have lived here for centuries, guided by the ancient canon, a traditional code of honor that shaped the Albanian highlands long before modern law. Hospitality here is sacred. A stranger is treated as a guest of God, offered bread, salt, and shelter without question. And when you share a cup of mountain tea infused with wild herbs, you realize, in this remote land, connection is as vital as survival. One of Theth's most iconic sites is the Lock-in Tower, or Kula e Ngujimet. It stands tall and weathered, a silent witness to the past. For generations, it served as a place of refuge for men caught in blood feuds, part of the harsh reality of the Highland Code. Within its stone walls, time slows, and you can feel the weight of centuries pressing close. Yet even here, amidst tales of vengeance and survival, the spirit of forgiveness and endurance shines brighter. Then there's the Gruna's waterfall, tumbling from cliffs into a pool of turquoise so clear it seems unreal. The sound of rushing water fills the valley, echoing off the mountains like a hymn. It's nature at its purest, fierce, unspoiled, eternal. Not far away, the blue eye of Theth lies hidden among rocks and forests, a natural spring, so deep and mesmerizing it seems bottomless. When sunlight hits its surface, the water glows with shades of sapphire and teal, as if the earth itself were gazing back. Standing there, surrounded by silence, you can't help but feel small and profoundly alive. But the Albanian Alps are more than landscapes, they're living legends. The locals tell stories of mountain spirits, of wolves that guard travelers, and of hidden valleys where time forgot to move. Even the peaks have names that echo ancient lore: Gjirokastër, Radohima, Arapi, each one carrying whispers of battles, love, and loss. These aren't just mountains. They're guardians of Albania's soul, Further north lies Valbona Valley, often called the crown jewel of the Alps. Its river, clear as crystal, winds through meadows dotted with wildflowers and rustic lodges. Wooden fences line the paths. Smoke rises from chimneys, and the scent of pine and fresh bread fills the air. Hikers from around the world come here, drawn by trails that lead to horizons beyond, imagination trails, where the silence is so complete you can hear your heartbeat. The journey between Valbona and Theth is legendary, a mountain trek that crosses high passes and breathtaking ridges. It's not just a hike, it's a pilgrimage through beauty and endurance. As you climb higher, the world below fades away, villages shrink into dots, rivers turn into silver threads, and clouds drift beneath your feet. When you finally reach the summit, standing among peaks older than history, you understand why this land was once called accursed. It demands respect, humility, and awe. The people of the Alps have learned to live in harmony with the extremes. Winters are long and harsh snow sealing off entire valleys for months, but the summers bring color and life in abundance. Shepherds lead their flocks to high pastures, singing ancient songs that echo through the hills. Children play beside wooden fences, laughter mixing with the wind. It's a rhythm of life that feels untouched by the modern world, where every season writes its own story. At dusk, the mountains turn purple and gold. Smoke curls from the chimneys of stone cottages, and the scent of wood fire and roasted chestnuts fills the air. The sky deepens. Stars appear not as pinpoints, but as blazing fires in the blackness above. There's no noise, no rush, no city lights, just the hum of the earth and the heartbeat of nature itself. You realize you're not just looking at the mountains, you're part of them now. In the Albanian Alps, time bends. Days stretch into eternity, and moments feel like memories from another life. This land doesn't ask for admiration, it commands it. Its silence is not empty, but full of meaning, as if the earth is whispering truths we've forgotten in our noise-filled lives. When morning comes again and the sun rises over peaks that pierce the sky, you know you've witnessed something rare, a world still ruled by nature, still wild, still whole. The Albanian Alps are not just a destination. They're a reminder that beauty, when left untouched, becomes something divine. There's a place where the rugged mountains of Albania descend straight into the turquoise waters of the Ionian Sea, where every sunrise feels like the first in history and every sunset glows like a painting brushed by the gods. This is the Albanian Riviera, a stretch of coastline so stunning, so raw, and so alive that it feels like nature itself decided to show off. Imagine standing on a cliff above the sea, the wind brushing your face, and below you a panorama of blue stretching to infinity. The cliffs glow golden in the morning light, the olive groves shimmer silver green, and the scent of wild herbs and salt fills the air. From Vlora to Saranda, this is not just a coast, it's an odyssey through landscapes that redefine paradise. The journey begins where the Adriatic meets the Ionian in Vlora, a city where Albania's modern pulse meets its ancient soul. This is where the country declared its independence in 1912. And yet, it's also a place of serenity where the sea splits in two directions, like a mirror to Albania's dual spirit: history and nature, tradition and change. From here, the road south, the famous Lagara Pass, begins to climb. And it's no ordinary road. As you ascend into the Lagara National Park, the air cools, the pines grow thicker, and the view begins to open up, until suddenly, you reach the summit. There, the entire Riviera unfolds before you. The cliffs plunge down into waters so blue they seem unreal. The sunlight scatters across the sea like diamonds, and the wind hums softly through the trees. It's one of those moments when you simply stop, breathe, and understand what awe truly means. Then, as the road winds down again, the world transforms. The beaches of Dermi, Gjeli, and Himara appear like hidden jewels. Dermi, with its whitewashed stone houses and crystal-clear waters, feels like a Mediterranean dream untouched by time. The waves roll gently onto pebbled shores, the olive trees sway, and in the evenings, the sky bursts into shades of pink and violet. Music drifts from seaside cafes, and laughter mingles with the sound of the sea. Here, life slows down not out of laziness, but because time seems irrelevant when beauty is all around. Further south lies Gjeli Beach, a crescent of perfection hugged by cliffs and olive groves. It's wilder here, quieter, the kind of place where you lose all sense of hurry. Locals say the sea has moods, changing color with the wind, from deep sapphire to shimmering emerald. When night falls, the stars reflect on the water like scattered fireflies, and the silence is broken only by the rhythm of the waves. And then there's Himara, the heart of the Riviera. Perched between mountains and sea, this ancient town carries centuries of stories. Its fortress, high above the coast, looks down over a patchwork of beaches and coves, each one more beautiful than the last. From here, the sea stretches endlessly toward Greece, and on clear days, you can see the faint outline of Corfu in the distance. Himara is a place where cultures meet Greek and Albanian, ancient and modern, bound together by the language of the sea. But the Riviera isn't just about beaches, it's about contrasts. Just a few kilometers inland, the terrain rises sharply. Olive groves give way to rugged cliffs, and ancient villages cling to the mountainsides. Keparo, one of the most picturesque, seems frozen in time. Its stone houses, narrow lanes, and quiet courtyards overlook the sea like watchful guardians of the past. Walking here feels like entering a forgotten century, yet the breeze, the scent of rosemary, and the songs of cicadas remind you that life still pulses softly through its veins. Further along, the Riviera reveals her wild-side remote coves, accessible only by foot or boat. Jeep Canyon is one such secret. Hidden between Dermi and Vuno, it's a gorge that opens suddenly onto a small, untouched beach. The cliffs rise like cathedral walls, echoing with the sound of waves and wind. It's a place of solitude and wonder, a reminder that some of the world's greatest treasures aren't meant to be found easily. South of Himara, the coastline grows gentler but no less stunning. The road hugs the sea, passing olive terraces and rocky shores until you reach Borsh, the longest beach in Albania. Stretching for nearly 7 kilometers, it's a vast expanse of pebbles and waves, framed by fields of citrus trees and the ruins of a medieval castle above. The air smells of oranges and salt, and the horizon feels infinite. And finally, the journey ends in Saranda, the gateway to the south, a lively seaside city glowing with light and color. By day, its promenade buzzes with life. By night, the reflections of street lamps dance across the water. Across the bay, the island of Corfu gleams faintly, just a whisper away. Nearby lies Butrint, one of the most extraordinary archaeological sites in the Balkans, a UNESCO World Heritage Site where Greek, Roman, Byzantine, and Venetian ruins all coexist, layered like chapters of a single timeless story. But even amidst ruins and resorts, the Riviera never loses her soul. She's wild, free, unpredictable like the sea itself. One moment, calm and radiant, the next, fierce and untamed. She invites travelers not just to visit, but to feel, to lose themselves in her rhythm and rediscover what it means to be alive. As the sun sets over the Ionian, the mountains behind you glow red, and the sea before you turns to molten gold. The wind carries the scent of salt and pine. You realize that the Albanian Riviera isn't just a place, it's an emotion, a revelation, a whisper from nature reminding us that beauty, in its purest form, is always a little wild. There are places in Albania where the air itself seems to hum with history, where stone walls whisper of battles long forgotten, and fortresses rise proudly from the mountains as if carved by time itself. These are not just ruins. They are living echoes of Albania's ancient soul stories of kings and conquerors, of myths and warriors, of a land that has endured everything and still stands proud. As the mist lifts over the rugged hills of southern Albania, the first rays of sunlight touch the castle of Gjirokastër, a giant of stone and silence. Perched high above the city of stone, its gray walls blend seamlessly with the mountain behind it. From a distance, it almost seems to grow out of the earth itself. But step inside, and you feel the power of centuries pressing down Ottoman cannons, prison cells, watchtowers, and legends that breathe through every corridor. Gjirokastër is not just a fortress, it's a living museum of Albania's past. The cobbled streets below the castle wind through old Ottoman houses with wooden balconies and slate roofs. Each step echoes like a heartbeat on the stone. This city gave birth to some of Albania's most famous figures, but it's the architecture that leaves you in awe, frozen in time, perfectly preserved. Walk its narrow lanes, and you'll feel as though you've stepped into the 17th century. The scent of roasted coffee drifts from tiny cafes, mingling with the sound of church bells and distant calls to prayer, a reminder that this city has always stood at the crossroads of cultures and faiths. Yet Gjirokastër is only one chapter in Albania's ancient story. Journey north and you reach Berat, the city of 1,000 windows. When the sunlight hits its white Ottoman houses, each one stacked upon the other along the riverbank, the whole town glows like a mosaic of light. It's said that Berat reflects Albania's soul, a harmony of Christian and Muslim heritage, a coexistence of stone and spirit. The Berat castle, sitting proudly atop the hill, watches over the valley like an old guardian. Inside its walls, families still live. Their children play in courtyards that have seen more than 1,000 years of history. Imagine that. A fortress still alive, still breathing. At sunset, as the sky turns gold, the light pours through the windows of Berat's old homes, and the city truly lives up to its name. It shines. The call to prayer rises softly over the river Osum, mixing with the ringing of church bells. In that moment, time stops. It's as if the past and present shake hands, agreeing to share the same space in peace. From Berat, the ancient trail leads west to Kruje, the mountain stronghold of Albania's national hero, Gjirokastër. This is where the fate of the nation once hung in the balance. In the 15th century, from within the walls of Kruje Castle, Skanderbeg led a rebellion that halted the advance of the mighty Ottoman Empire for decades. His bravery turned Kruje into a symbol of freedom, not just for Albania, but for all of Europe. Standing within those fortress walls, you can still feel the echo of battle cries carried on the wind. The stone watchtowers overlook endless valleys, and you can almost imagine the banners waving, the horses charging, the smoke of victory rising into the mountain air. Inside the Skanderbeg Museum, weapons, armor, and manuscripts tell a story that every Albanian child grows up hearing, a story of courage, resistance, and unbreakable spirit. But Albania's ancient soul is not only found in its castles, it's also hidden in the quiet ruins scattered across the countryside. South of Saranda, where olive trees meet the sea, lies Butrint, one of the most extraordinary archaeological sites in the Mediterranean. This ancient city has seen it all: founded by the Greeks, expanded by the Romans, transformed by Byzantines, and fortified by Venetians. Today, it's a silent witness to thousands of years of human civilization. Walking through Butrint feels like time travel. You move from the remains of a Greek theater to Roman baths, past Byzantine basilicas, and Venetian towers, all surrounded by shimmering lagoons and the sound of birds. Nature has reclaimed the city. Vines twist around marble columns, and sunlight filters through fig trees that grow where temples once stood. It's haunting, beautiful, eternal. UNESCO called it a World Heritage Site, but locals call it something simpler: a place where the past never sleeps. Further north, near the rugged mountains of the interior, lie hidden remnants of ancient Illyrian settlements, the ancestors of the Albanian people. In places like Bilis and Apollonia, the ruins of amphitheaters and temples stand under open skies. The silence here is almost sacred. You can stand alone among fallen stones and imagine the laughter of crowds, the sound of footsteps on marble streets, the murmur of merchants and philosophers debating beneath the sunday. But Albania's legends live not only in its ruins, they also survive in its people. In the villages, old men tell tales of heroes who never died, of dragons who guarded the mountains, of spirits who danced in the rivers. Every region has its myths, and every story carries the same message, that Albania's heart beats not just in its stones, but in its soul. As night falls over the ancient fortresses, the wind sweeps softly through their towers. The stars appear above, the same stars that once guided shepherds, soldiers, and kings. The walls of Gjirokastër, the windows of Berat, the battlements of Kruge, they all glow faintly under the moonlight, like beacons of memory. In the stillness, you realize something profound. Albania is not just a country with a history, it is history. It's a bridge between civilizations, a mosaic of myths and memories. And every castle, every ruin, every legend is a heartbeat in the story of a land that has never forgotten who it is. High in the north, where the clouds hang low and the air grows thin, Albania becomes something else entirely wilder, older, almost sacred. Here, nature reigns supreme. The valleys are deep, the rivers run fierce, and the peaks of the accursed mountains, or Bjeshket in Amana, rise like jagged teeth biting into the sky. This is a land untouched by time, where ancient traditions still whisper through the forests and legends breathe through the mist. As the first light of dawn spills over the mountains, it paints the ridges in silver and gold. The stillness is almost unreal, broken only by the distant echo of a waterfall or the clinking of a shepherd's bell. This is northern Albania, the heart of the wild. To many travelers, it feels like stepping into a forgotten world, one where life follows the rhythm of nature and man's presence feels humble in the face of such grandeur. The road to this remote corner of the country winds through forests, cliffs, and valleys, so narrow they seem carved by giants. Reaching the Valbona Valley National Park, you are greeted by a landscape so breathtaking. It seems unreal glacial rivers that shimmer turquoise, pine-covered mountains that pierce the clouds, and meadows bursting with wildflowers. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of pine, earth, and snow. It's a place where words fail, where silence feels like prayer. Valbona isn't just a destination, it's a sanctuary. Villages here cling to the sides of mountains, built from stone and wood, untouched by modern chaos. Locals still live by the seasons, tending to their flocks, harvesting honey, and welcoming travelers with warm bread and stronger coffee. Sit with them for a while, and you'll hear stories of ancient codes of honor, the Kanun, an unwritten law that has guided these people for centuries. It speaks of respect, hospitality, and justice, a moral compass that still defines life in the mountains. Further west, another valley awaits Theth, a place so beautiful and remote that reaching it feels like crossing into myth. The road twists and turns, each bend revealing another wonder, a rushing river, a stone bridge, a distant waterfall. When you finally arrive, Theth reveals itself like a painting, clusters of traditional wooden houses surrounded by vast green fields, all under the watch of the mighty Shala Mountains. At the heart of Theth stands its small but iconic stone church, simple yet timeless, a symbol of the villagers' unbroken faith. Not far away lies the Lock-in Tower, a relic of the Kanun's ancient justice system, a place where men once took refuge to avoid blood feuds. Though the past was harsh, the spirit of these people was unyielding. Even now, their resilience can be felt in every handshake, every smile, every story told by the fire. One of the region's most mesmerizing sights lies deep within the valley, the blue eye of Theth, Siri e Kalter e Thethet, a natural spring of dazzling turquoise water hidden within a forest. Its color shifts with the sun from sapphire to emerald to silver. Standing beside it, the world seems to vanish. The air cools, the light bends, and you can almost believe that the legends are true, that this place holds the soul of the mountains themselves. Hiking through these wild lands, you realize how deeply connected the people are to the earth. Every path tells a story, every rock a memory. The locals will tell you tales of wolves that guard sacred groves, of rivers that grant wishes, of spirits that protect travelers who show respect. Whether myth or truth, it doesn't matter in the silence of the mountains. Belief feels natural. As the day fades, the sun sinks behind the peaks, setting the sky ablaze with crimson and gold. The wind grows colder, carrying the scent of firewood and wild herbs. Villagers gather outside their homes as night falls, their laughter echoing across the valley. Somewhere, a flute plays a haunting melody, a song passed down through generations, part sorrow, part pride. Then, as darkness takes over, the stars emerge countless and clear, brighter than you've ever seen. The Milky Way cuts across the heavens like a river of light, and you understand why the ancients built myths around the sky. In the mountains of northern Albania, the stars are not just above you, they feel close enough to touch. This land teaches you something profound, that beauty doesn't always come from perfection. Sometimes, it's found in the raw, untamed edges of the world. The north is Albania in its purest form, proud, unspoiled, and fiercely alive. The people here do not measure wealth in gold, but in the freedom of open skies and the peace of knowing their roots run deep. When dawn returns, the mist rises once again, and the mountains stand tall, eternal, and unchanging. The world may move forward, but here, time holds its breath. The peaks keep their secrets, the rivers keep their rhythm, and the valleys keep their stories safe. This is the wild north of Albania, a place where legends still walk, where silence speaks, and where nature reminds us that the most beautiful places on earth are the ones that refuse to be tamed. There are places that capture your heart for their beauty, others for their history. But Albania does something different. It stays with you because of its soul. After the long roads, the mountain trails, the stone cities and wild coasts, you begin to understand that Albania is more than landscapes and landmarks. It's a feeling, a quiet strength, a warmth that seeps into you long after you've left. This is not just the end of a journey through a country. It's an encounter with its spirit. The true essence of Albania lies in its people. They have endured centuries of hardship, invasion, isolation, and change, yet their resilience shines brighter than ever. In every mountain village, in every seaside town, there's a deep sense of pride that pulses through daily life. Albanians call it besa, a word that means honor, trust, and the sacred promise to protect others. It's more than a tradition, it's a way of life. Travelers who arrive as strangers often leave as family. You feel it the moment you're offered a cup of strong coffee or a seat at the table for homemade bread and olives. From the shepherds of Theth to the fishermen of Haimare, there's a shared rhythm in how Albanians live, simple, grounded, and deeply connected to the land. They still speak the ancient language of the Illyrians, one of Europe's oldest tongues, passed down through thousands of years. Their songs tell stories of love and loss. Their dances celebrate freedom, and their festivals keep alive traditions that have survived empires and borders. Walk through any village square during summer, and you'll find children dancing in circles, grandparents clapping to the rhythm, and laughter filling the air. There's a sense that time here moves not forward, but in cycles tied to harvests, to seasons, to family. Even in modern cities like Tirana, amid the murals and music, that connection never fades. It's the heartbeat of a nation that remembers where it came from. But the spirit of Albania is not only found in its people, it also lives in its nature. in the mountains that guard ancient secrets, in the rivers that have carved the land for millennia, in the coastlines that whisper with the stories of sailors and saints. The land feels alive, as if it breathes with its own rhythm. You see it in the wild horses that roam the Logara Pass, in the way sunlight dances on the waters of Lake Komani, in the olive groves that stretch endlessly toward the sea. There's something deeply spiritual about Albania's wilderness. The forests are thick with legends. Locals say the mountains have souls, and every river carries the memory of something eternal. Whether it's myth or truth, you can't help but feel it. When you stand at the edge of the Albanian Alps, with the wind against your face and the sound of a distant eagle echoing across the peaks, you realize you're witnessing something pure, a world still untouched by greed or noise. In the villages, life remains beautifully slow. A farmer walks beside his donkey along a dirt road at sunset. Children play barefoot in the fields. Smoke curls from the chimneys of stone houses as night approaches. There's no rush here, only balance. A quiet harmony between man and nature that feels almost forgotten in the modern world. Albania doesn't demand your attention. It invites you to listen. And perhaps that's its greatest gift, the stillness it offers. In a world constantly chasing more, Albania reminds you to pause, to breathe, to simply exist. Watching the sun sink behind the mountains of Valbona or the waves crash against the cliffs of Dermi, you realize how rare it is to feel something so real, so unfiltered. Then there's the legacy, not carved in marble or gold, but written in endurance. Albania's history is one of survival and rebirth. From the Illyrians to the Ottomans, from isolation to awakening, it has always found its way forward. Each era left its mark, but none could erase the core of what makes this land unique, its stubborn hope. You see it in the faces of the people, in the rebirth of its cities, in the pride that fills every flag waving in the mountain wind. As you leave, the memories blur into one, the laughter of children echoing in the alleys of Berat, the endless blue horizon of the Ionian Sea, the taste of wild honey shared by an old man who refused payment, the haunting silence of a castle under the moon. Albania isn't a destination you check off your list. It's an experience that stays in your bones. When you look back, it's not just the beauty you remember, it's the feeling of belonging, the realization that somewhere between the mountains and the sea, between the old and the new, between silence and song, you found something rare. You found authenticity. You found heart. As the night falls over this wild and wondrous land, the lights of the villages twinkle like stars scattered across the earth. The wind carries whispers of old songs. The mountains stand proud against the dark, and the sea hums softly against the shore. Albania, the hidden jewel of Europe, the land of unbroken spirit, waits quietly for those willing to see beyond the surface. Because some places you visit once and forget, but others like Albania become a part of you. Not because they are perfect, but because they are real. And in their truth, you find something the modern world has almost lost: a sense of wonder. As the sun sinks behind Albania's rugged mountains, the land grows quiet, but its spirit echoes on. You've seen its rivers shimmer like glass. Its villages stand timeless beneath stone and sky. Its people open their homes and hearts without hesitation. Albania is not a destination. It's a feeling, raw, alive, eternal, a reminder that beauty still exists beyond the noise, and that sometimes the most extraordinary places are the ones the world has overlooked. Here, in the wild silence of the Balkans, you find not luxury, but authenticity, not perfection, but truth. And maybe that's why Albania stays with you long after you've gone. Because once you've walked its trails, tasted its freedom, and heard the whispers of its mountains, you realize this isn't just a journey through a country. It's a journey back to yourself. This is Albania, untamed, unforgettable, and unlike anywhere else on Earth. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed exploring Prague as much as I enjoyed guiding you through it. If you found this travel guide helpful, Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos.